Hello everyone, I'm George from Ireland, and here I am outside the house of John Walter, who's renowned for being the founder of The Times, which for decades, well, almost 2 centuries, was the United Kingdom's main newspaper, certainly its major quality broadsheet, though its circulation has fallen significantly in recent decades, eclipsed by the Daily Telegraph some time ago. Anyway, so Walter was very well off, as you can see by the scope of this house, what fine dimensions it has, and built at that time. I'm not sure if he was the original owner of it, but it's very much a late 18th century house, and here by Clapham Common, which I'm about to show you in a minute. So this was well outside London. This is a village in Surrey at the time. People like Benjamin Franklin had lived, and the Clapham sect lived here, various evangelical Anglicans involved in the abolition of slavery like John Venn, Thomas Clarkson, William Wilberforce, and so forth. And there was a bust of him up on the house. I don't think you could see it from that angle. We're coming around to see it here. So there it is behind me. Anyway, John Walter, he's born on New Year's Day 1738 in London, and he went into business as a merchant dealing in coal, which was a vital commodity well into the 20th century, because without that people were going to die of cold in winter. So he was well into middle age, 1785, when he decided to found the Daily Universal Register. He bought this patent for a method for printing like phrases, not just individual letters or words, because certain phrases came up again and again, which sped up the printing process, therefore made it cheaper. And he made ameliorations upon that invention. Now, above one of the windows, you can see a bust of him, perhaps, which I could zoom in. And so that was the Daily Universal Register, and it began on his birthday, New Year's Day. And after about 3 years, he changed its name to The Times. So it was a broadsheet, published all sorts of news, but there was no celebrity gossip in those days. There was the court circular. There was some commentary on the royal family, but he got himself into hot water over this once, because he was convicted of libel of the Duke of York and Albany. That's to say the second son of King George III. The second son of the monarch is usually given the title Duke of York, as in Prince Andrew has it these days. That doesn't go from father to son. This is for one generation. Then goes to the next monarch's second son. So I can't remember what was said about the Duke of York. Libel then was a criminal matter. Prosecution for criminal libel as recently as the 1970s. You can read a book about it called Golden Balls, when Sir James Goldsmith, he took out a criminal libel suit against what was a Private Eye magazine, but he was persuaded to desist, to drop the case in return from a grovelling front page apology and handsome pecuniary compensation. But anyway, so John Walter found himself slung into prison, paying a fine of £100, which was a tidy sum back then. You can put 2 zeros on the end of that at least. Having to give surety to be bound over for good behaviour for 7 years and so forth. But 2 years later, the Prince of Wales requested that a royal pardon be granted to him, and indeed it was done. So, an almost fearless editor. He lost a libel suit to Lord Cooper as well, but so he learned to tread a bit more carefully. Now, eventually, he handed over the editorship to his son Richard. Another John Walter was also editor as well. But after that, it passed out of the hands of the family. I can't remember who owns it now. I thought it was the Berkeley brothers not so long ago. The Berkeley. But so that was his house. He retired to Teddington. He didn't die in this house. He died about 10 miles further southwest. So that is John Walter. Maybe think there was a journalist called David Walter, the BBC correspondent in Paris, in the around about 2000, but I don't know if it's any relation. That's a little bit about that. And so many newspapers have taken their name from the Times. Like there's the Times of India, the New York Times, the Irish Times, the Astana Times, the Moscow Times, the Daily Universal Times, or is it the International Times, and on and on and on. So he was the first one to call it that. And so they had time past, time future on the symbol, the two faces of Janus looking back to the past and forward to the future. Oh yeah, and I mentioned Clapham Common, this area of public land for people to go around for recreation, some ball games in certain parts. That's where it is, a little pond, very flat area, good for jogging. So he lives just north of Clapham Common. Okay, that's enough for me, so please donate to me on PayPal. I urgently need donations to sustain the channel. GeorgeCallaghan79@gmail.com. That's GeorgeCallaghan79@gmail.com. And what else? So book online lessons with me in history, politics, religious studies, English language, English literature, French, law, citizenship, and so forth. I edit documents. I translate from French, Spanish, Italian, German, Russian, and Romanian. And I'm a tour guide in Londinium whenever tourism reopens one of these decades. Toodaloo.